And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Jeremy Down, who had a near-death experience due to hypothermia. Jeremy, thanks for joining us and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well, let's start on the day that you got hypothermic and go from there.
All right. The day after Valentine's Day, 2001, and I was canoeing in BC, British Columbia, on the lake that I lived on for many years. I'm an artist, so I painted outside and still do paint outside in all seasons. And I had a canvas on the gunnels of the canoe, and I was searching for a spot to do some work on the shore. It was snowing lightly, beautiful. And it was something I'd done many times, pushing the canoe off from shore, but I had been dealing kind of with the first, whispers of depression. I was 30. I'd had 10 years of 10 years of one life, and I recently moved to the mountains and was starting another chapter of my life. And as I pushed the canoe off that day, I asked for wisdom from the universe or the water or whatever, and paddled out. It was a bit wavy, but I love waves. I've always loved water and waves. And about 25 minutes later, one wave was far bigger than the rest, and it came over the gunnels of the boat, filled the boat. I had a life jacket on, but it was February. I tried to flip the canoe over, which is very difficult. Didn't work. Climbed on top of the canoe, did the math on how long it would take me to float back to shore, and decided to swim. So I got in the water, and I'm a swimmer. I grew up on the swim team in high school, and I've always swam daily or close to that. So I'm a strong swimmer. Started to swim, and within a few strokes realized that the anxiety of the moment of that experience was taking all my attention, and it was using up my heat in my body. And it was almost like a little thermostat that I could see, and it was, with every thought of worry and fear, it was using up my heat. So I realized I needed to focus and not give any attention at all to the fear. 1 year previous, I did a 10-day silent meditation called Vipassana, where they teach you breath meditation. And in 10 days, you absorb that technique. And I use that technique of breathing, controlled, focused breathing, calming the mind, timed with my breaststroke. I was doing breaststroke in the water. And basically razor sharp concentration on breathing, on the moment. But at some point, I realized hypothermia was taking me. You go through these stages of, you think you're watching a movie about someone swimming, and then you realize, oh no, that's me. This is real. And I knew about hypothermia. And that happened a few times, and the shore did not seem like it was getting any closer. And I said goodbye to my wife, my 1-year-old daughter. I realized I wasn't going to make it. At that point, I was calling for help on my out breaths, and I felt a deep connection, or like a renewed connection, to nature, to the fish in the lake, the birds, and I was calling for help to nature as well. 2 bald eagles were above me. They came and heard me and located me, and they were flying above me as this was happening. And they flew to the nearest house, which was probably 800 meters away, and they circled above the house, screeching until the people who lived there came out. And it was a small town. I knew the people, and they could hear me yelling. So they decided they should come and take a look on the shoreline. And one of them came down and eventually found me after I made it to shore. And that's how I was rescued, because they were able to call search and rescue of that local fire department, who came and pulled me up the banks in a aluminum cage stretcher and took me to the hospital. But in that time frame, with the eagles flying above me, I saw a tunnel of blue light in the water. And I thought it was a real tunnel, and I thought I was swimming down a tunnel, but it's an energetic kind of portal leaving the body. Swam down through that tunnel, came to a veil, thin veil, and passed through that veil and returned home. The feeling of going home was unmistakable. It was like the oldest memory and the strongest. It felt like life on Earth was a holiday for a couple of weeks, and I was returning back to real life, where I'd been for millennia and now was returning again. And it was a beautiful thing. There was a reconnection with individual souls that also seemed separate. This paradox of separation but collective was no longer a paradox. Um, in our three-dimensional world, physical world with time, these things don't make sense, but that's the nature of this world of three dimensions. In the soul world or the spirit world, or whatever you want to name it, there is no time. Everything is at once. So there was no paradox with returning to the collective. And it was very beautiful. It was very perfect. And there was a lot of laughter, kind of like, oh, good work. You made it back. How was that 30-year adventure? And, and then I was there. I was returned. I was home. I had a strong download of understanding of human life. It was almost as if you could look back. I don't know if I've implanted this image of the blue earth spinning in space, but it was almost like you could look back and you could see souls going back, living their life year after year after year, leaving, coming back to the collective, returning. It was this cycle. And there was an understanding of how that worked. There was an understanding of how physics worked on the planet, all the rules of our world, all the concepts and the structures that human beings make with our minds, and we live within these structures, and then we pass away and we return to the collective, and we view those mental structures as something very much of the earth, of the nature of being a human. So that was a place that I felt like I stayed for 100 years, 500 years. It was a longer experience. It felt like I was there forever. The download was a beautiful thing. The reconnection to souls, and the sense that there was something more greater. There was the we, the collective, and the I, but there was also something attached to the we that was even greater, like a grand, a great spirit or a grand being, not really separate, but kind of separate. So that was a beautiful, beautiful place. And I had no interest in leaving. I watched many souls leave and return. There was much laughter about the nature of human life and how much trouble we cause and how we live through these constructs and suffer through them. It's kind of absurd from that perspective. And then I was starting to be drawn back down, and I was kind of like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not interested in going back. And we, us, was like, yeah, you're going back. Like, you're not done. I was not. I'm not sure I can say that I'm happy or sad on that side, but I wasn't interested in going back. That is a blissful place that we return to over and over and over. But it wasn't my time to stay. There was another veil that I could peer through that I wasn't invited to pass through. I suspect that would be actual death, where you're not returning to the same body. And then I felt myself drawn back, and then I was in my body swimming. I don't know if I stopped swimming. I don't know if I kept going. It was hard to ascertain actual minutes to the swim, because I wasn't wearing a watch, and it was just a blurry timeline. But I was still swimming, and I made it to shore, and I saw this little cleft in the rock in the shoreline, and it looked like shelter, and it felt like I had about one cell, like one brain cell left that was able to say, go there, find shelter, which was ridiculous because the cleft in the rock was about 8 inches wide. It was not shelter. It was just, you know, physical reality, I guess. So I pulled myself up on the rocky shoreline, which didn't work. I I was a mess. I fell, cut myself, and the air was warmer than the water. So as my body started to warm up slightly, I don't know if you've ever had very cold hands or feet. When they start to warm up, it's excruciating. And this was a whole body slight warming, and it was so painful that I would scream and pass out cold, fall down on the shore, pass out. Don't know for how long. Wake up, scream, pass out. Wake up, scream. It was horrible, and it kept happening and happening, and then the neighbor, the woman, and well, it was Barb and Dick who lived up on the shore. Dick stayed at the house. Barb came down, and they had whistles. And when Barb saw me, she whistled, 2 whistles, and Dick called search and rescue. So she was there with me, and I knew her. She knew me, but she didn't recognize me because I was bright red and I looked crazy. My eyes were bugging out of my head, but she had brought like shake warming packs that you wear when you're skiing, like in your mitts, and I put them under my armpits between my legs, and she had tea. So there was some stability there, some returning to an understanding that I was a human being on a shoreline, but it was fleeting. I was on the shore for a couple hours, um, waiting, and then being strapped in, and then drawn up into an ambulance, taken to the hospital, and my doctor was there, and he checked all my vitals, and he said, I don't think you have any brain damage. I don't think there was a shutdown of any length of time that was damaging, and he gave me a cheese sandwich, and I was home for dinner. So the event was somewhat of a gift because as I pushed away from shore, I asked for wisdom. And that event is the deepest wisdom I've ever found. And being ushered back by two bald eagles who actually had their photo in the newspaper the next week. I didn't get my picture in the paper, but the Eagles did. So that's the event. And the result, my life kind of crumbled because the structures of human civilization, society, systems, identity, they they didn't, they didn't work with what I had learned, and my life fell apart. I was living out in nature, which was beautiful for the next summer, and I split with my partner at the time, and I was always a dad, and I kept paying my bills, but it's been a long road of understanding how we relate to spirit. So yeah, that's kind of the rough strokes.
Would you say that the Great Spirit would be God?
I think you can use that word for sure. I think that if that's the word, then that's okay. I think we have different words. The difficulty is that who's using the word God in what context and what rules are attached to that word. Then we start leaving the truth and we get into dogma and belief systems and behavioral systems. So it's okay to use the word God for sure. There's many other words for Great Spirit, but yeah, you can use that word. Definitely, it was the source.
When you saw the souls over there, did you see anybody that you knew, like family members?
No, they weren't in any way humans. Like they didn't have identities as human beings. They were familiar, um, but they didn't seem to me to be anyone that I had previously known. Not previously.
You pierced the veil, right?
One of them, yes.
Can you describe what that is? Is it like an energetic wall or what?
It's like a gauze. It's like a very thin curtain that you can kind of see through. There's an invitation to move through the veil. It's not of your own intention or volition. I was invited to go down. I decided to swim down the tunnel of light, and then I was invited to move through the veil. And with that invitation, I passed through it. The next veil, there may have been two veils that I passed through. And then the third one, I don't know if it really matters. Basically, there was one or more that I passed through, and then there was one that I was not invited to pass through. Um, they're energetic. Yeah, they're like a change of who you are and who you return as, maybe something like that.
Can you describe the environment that you were in when you were with those souls? The realm or whatever you would call it?
I think that the realm only was those souls, us. That's it. There's no separate, like there's no a soul in a context or a soul or a collection of souls in an environment. The collection of souls is the environment. It's everything. Maybe
But
everything else is contained within that.
when it's a collection of souls, are you guys all one collection in a giant ball of energy, or do you see separateness, even though you're collected?
It's a paradox of both. It's very much one and collective and very much individual. Um, One of the strongest things about being there is that sense of paradox, or what we would call paradox on Earth, because we organize things with our brains and we live in a three-dimensional world with, an up and a down, a left and a right, magnetized, polarized. In that realm, there's no will. There's no individual will. You can't reach out and pick up the coffee cup because there's no time for your hand to move from where it is to the coffee cup. And there's no there's no object, the coffee cup, as an example. So it's almost as if we, us, the collective, the soul, God, the Great Spirit, all of us, decided to make this reality, this planet, and us as a as like the next thing. Like it's beautiful and perfect, but there must be something else. And there's something about the choice, the fact that we as humans have a choice between good and evil, which of course is an ancient question. There's something about having that choice, having an individual will that lights up this realm of experience on Earth. And it's like we're feeding this experience back to the collective every time we die and born again. And that was the intention, was to physicalize and give the chance to make mistakes and see how that would play out without judgment as to, oh, you didn't do so well, or you did great. Something like that.
I found it interesting that the collective decided that you must go back.
Yes.
You know, does that mean that you didn't have free will or you signed up for something that you didn't finish?
No, that's just the English language and my sense of humor. The collective didn't decide anything. I just wasn't done.
Mm.
It was a decision, would gives you the idea like, oh, well, maybe we have a choice. Maybe he should go back. Maybe he shouldn't, like, no, it was just, I wasn't done. And it was part of my path to go there. And it was part of my path to come back. We isolate these things like choices and decisions. On the grand scale, the further you pull back from this experience or from human life, there's more of a flow. It's like a flow of like, we decide, oh, I made a decision. It was a bad decision. And this happened and that happened. When you pull back far enough, you realize the results of bad decisions are opportunities to learn. So I'm not, whitewashing good and evil, but I'm saying in the long view, it's part of the path. So, yeah, I don't think we decided so much. I use that language, but it just turns out that way.
Do you think you decided how long you will be here pre-birth?
I don't know that. No, I don't know that if I decided it or not. Because that would maybe be like a quantitative decision. I think maybe if there's a decision, it's more likely qualitative. It's like, I am coming back to be born and would like to remember that realm, like remember the deepest part of our soul or God or collective or spirit. And that is the quest, because you change when you remember that. You can stay being a human and totally functional, but then you return to being part of everyone, and your days change because there's something flowing through you that's different, this kind of joy, this empathy, and you change the way you live. So maybe that is a qualitative goal. I'm not sure the quantity of years is predetermined. I mean, because, we stay hidden within our own drama. We just do.
Do you feel that while you were there, you understood how things work down here? Like you understood the whole point of coming down here and why we do this over and over again, perhaps?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And why do we keep coming back here?
Because there's an opportunity to reawaken and share this beauty, share love with other people on the planet that haven't reawakened, and to alleviate some of the suffering that's happening here. And there's something in that change, in reawakening and making a decision to make things better, even if all you can do is say a kind word. that might be the only way you change the world. But it is something, it has a different character to that, to your use of your gift of being alive, choosing to decide to spread a different energy. And there's a meaning to that. For some reason, there's a cyclical advancement. Some religious traditions would say that's finite, that you get to a certain point and then you just return to the collective and you don't rebirth. Other spiritual traditions don't say that. I'm not sure if those semantics are necessary or not. But I think that's the reason why.
You use the word reawaken.
Yes.
So we're not awake when we're on the other side? Or what do you mean by that?
Reawaken in human reality. So part of a soul being born into human form is you forget. And the process of living, you accumulate experience and you slowly peel away the layers and find that there's something deeper and then reawaken. So you're reawakening to that soul identity. That's what I mean. So you're kind of like at the moment, and since the experience, I'm connected to that realm. I choose to focus my attention on it or not. And at this point in my life, through practice, through meditation practice and other practices that keep me awake, I carry that with me. That is a challenge, to carry that with you. It's maybe there's hope, maybe there, you ask, well, why? Like, why do we do this? Why do we keep being reborn again? Maybe there's some end state where all of a sudden all 8 billion people are just, oh, wait a second, we're all the same. And our society would completely change. It would completely change. It'd be amazing.
Is it possible that this place could be amazing like you're saying it could? And we keep coming back to try to fix this place in hopes that we will make it amazing?
Yeah, there's something to that. There's something to that statement. I'm just moving here to get a power cord.
That's all right.
I think there's some. So that question, that question involves a timeline, like, oh, it's not so good now, but if we keep working on it, it'll improve. So then we're using time. And I think that that's important. I think that time is one of the gifts that's given to human beings. I mean, we talk about elders, people of any culture that have lived decades and have seen experience, and a balanced culture will go and seek wisdom of their elders, whatever country, whatever culture you're in. So there's something to that. And the people that I know that have left, that have died in their 80s and 90s, at that point, many of them are happy. Many of them, obviously there's variations to death. There's so many ways, but there's some type of understanding. So maybe, I want to say maybe, because I think time is a gift that we've been given to use, and our bodies, our physical bodies, our intention, our brains are incredibly complex, amazing brains. These are tools that we're given to use to move through the challenges of being alive. And our decisions, our responses to these challenges give off a frequency. If you stub your toe and you scream and yell and swear, the people beside you, they're like, oh, that was kind of harsh. If you stub your toe and you kind of take a breath and you just, you're like, okay, I just stubbed my toe, it has a different effect. And that ripples outwards. So we're very powerful with that opportunity.
While you were there, did you completely forget about this life here?
No, because there was a sense of watching, like looking back down to the spinning blue ball and watching these little sparkles, which were like souls. Oh, there's another one going to get born. And I don't know if I've kind of like animated this in my mind, but no, I that's I use sparkle maybe as a little animation, a description of a soul moving. Um, but no, you're aware. You're very aware of it is part of everything. Like the being born, the living through, the dying and returning, and then doing it again. Like it's part of the whole. It's not separate from.
Before this, did you have any type of relationship with animals like the eagles? And if not, has that grown since you've been back?
I'm a very outdoorsy person, always have been. But I wouldn't say I was particularly into animals um, before that. And that connection, I wondered when I returned, would I have, would eagles come and visit me, or would there be some deep connection? Definitely there's a connection on like an energy level. There's a lot of feathers that I see. But actual bald eagles, the most the deepest connection I can say is that often I travel quite a bit, and when I come and go, when I return to the lake, I always go and say thank you at the shoreline, and I put my left hand on the surface of the water and I say thank you for this opportunity to return and to remember. And I often look up and there's a bald eagle close-ish. It's not every time. Um, and that's about it. Yeah. I don't know if there's a deeper connection. I have tattoos of eagle feathers on my body.
Have you noticed that since this experience, you have new abilities that could be considered psychic?
Yes, I definitely have psychic abilities. 100%. I can I can see energy. I can see each person's energy like a field, an energy field. I can see where it's out of balance, where it's out of alignment. And through years of practice, I'm able to help rebalance that energy. Um, I have a little bit of forward memory. I can't say that I can tell the future, but it's like a short-term memory flipped over into the future. So I'm aware of things that will happen in the future. Um, and I'm very sensitive to the collective experience. Um, Oversensitive for years, like too sensitive. Cities are difficult. I have to I have to kind of shield myself almost from so much psychic like um, vibration or yeah. But definitely things crack open. There's more senses than just the five senses, and when those light up, they remember how to stay lit up, whatever you want to call them.
If you had a friend that was grieving over the loss of a loved one, what type of advice would you give?
The grief is because we're left, um, not because we may misinterpret death because humans are naturally afraid of death. That's natural. It's very tough to move through that. I'm not afraid of death, but that's because of my experience. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to deal with this. Um, so grief is very much about your own feelings of missing the person, and your life has changed, and that's hard. There's no easy way through that. Wake up every morning, go to sleep at night. Let those emotions of grief absorb you for the moments that they do, and then and then go back to your life. It's okay. This is part of our extreme grief in the Western world is we're very separated from death because our medical system is able to, we're able to save so many people from so many medical emergencies. In other countries where people die, they just do because there's not the same medical system. There's still grief, but it's not. It doesn't like crush the same way. It does, but there's also a community. Um, there's a way to move through it as a society. We're collectively afraid of death in the West. Other cultures and societies were collectively accepting of death, and that completely changed their experience of losing loved ones. You still lose them and you still miss them.
As an artist, have you painted the experience?
Yeah, constantly. So 2 days after the experience, I was in my studio and I kind of watched a vision of, I was looking at a square flat painting and I watched it morph into a shape, like an abstract shaped perimeter. And it has undulations on the surface. And I went and built one out of wood. And I painted those shape structures for 20 years. And I still paint them once in a while. They were a gift. They were a gift. I'm an abstract painter. So you're not seeing something representational that you can identify, but people relate to my paintings. If they give them long enough, if they stand in front of them for, a little more than we're used to with a phone or a quick TV screen, you can feel them and you can relate to that, whether it's an energy or it's a feeling or it's a thought or it's some sense that there's a familiarity with my work. That's the content of my work, is very much understanding the human life as a physical being and as a spiritual being, and how they mix together, how they don't mix, how our society supports this or how it doesn't. That content goes into the paintings, um, through color and form, simple form, a lot of lines. There's a lot of lines like vibration waves, like frequency waves. But that is the content of my work and always has been. There's there's nothing else that is bigger than this. So abstract art as a venue for the greatest of the questions. This is the content of the work.
Do you have a website where people can go and take a look?
Yes, www.jeremydown.com. Yeah, you can check it out there. It's all there. 30 years of work.
All right. Well, you're also a musician, and I don't recall you saying you heard music on the other side, or did you?
No, I don't remember any music on the other side. No, I don't remember any art on the other side. Like there's just a being, just a way of being.
Well, did you write music that represents the experience?
Definitely the working out of the return to physical reality and the kind of crumbling of regular life and the viewing of society and human structures. And definitely that was the content of the last 5 albums. And that work is there's just a couple albums right now. I'm uploading the older ones. Jeremy Down on Spotify. I believe it's Jeremy_Down on Spotify. And my most recent album from last year definitely has the development of living through this experiment. So yeah, the work is there for sure.
Well, do you have anything else that you're working on that you want people to know about?
It's interesting. The creative output musically and artistically has always been from the same source, but just two different media, music and art, visual and auditory. But the inspiration, the spark behind that, is what we're talking about. And as I've gotten older, I've put more time into a daily meditation practice. Initially, because I became very depressed about, I guess, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, crushing depression. Even though I have all this understanding, this download of the way the world works and, this meaning, it's still, depression snuck up on me and it just crushed me for so long. And I needed a tool to deal with that. And I inadvertently found that it was breathing, controlling my breath. And then I did a lot of research of different traditions of that. And so 7 years ago, I actually gave up painting for a while in order to replace my studio practice with a daily practice of breath work. And stuck with that. And it slowly cracked open, kind of seeing that I could connect to this experience on a daily basis and hold this joy, hold this beauty, hold my ability to stay with clear intention that I've returned for a reason. So every person I meet, I share a better energy, a more positive word. And that has been the work. It's almost like the paintings and the songs, they're still going, but if that was the work, to make paintings and write songs and play shows and put out records, the work is now to help other people learn to find this in themselves. So I teach breath work, I teach yoga, I teach meditation 6 days a week. And it has a profound effect on many people. And so that kind of has become what I'm doing. And I think that as I age, I'll probably do that more, because it helps. It helps people.
Do you have a contact place on your website if people would like to ask you questions?
Yeah, there's I believe my email is attached to my website. You can also find me on Instagram, Jeremy_down Instagram, and you can DM me through there. Yeah, and I'm open to questions about this. People have questions when people are searching, and it's far simpler than it's made out to be. It's all inside you.
Jeremy, before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
Well, does it have to be positive? I mean, can I hit you with something sideways?
You can. You can give me any message you like.
The message is that it's all within each of us. It's a choice. It's a choice to seek. You need to realize that your brain, your thoughts are not you. Your brain is responding to phenomena at all times. It's generating thoughts all the time. That's the way we make it, out of bed in the morning and down to the kitchen. Is the brain is assessing phenomena based on experience, and the brain is the source of these thoughts. Your brain is not you. You are watching. You're a spirit. You're a quiet piece of the collective, and your consciousness is like a screen that you see the world through. It's processed by your brain. So understand that deep inside all your list of problems, all your list of wishes, the things you want, the things you don't want, all your relationships. You are actually something deeper than that, behind that, and you can observe that. And when you separate yourself from that, there's a peace. Meditation is comes after concentration. Concentration is facilitated by controlling the breath, slow breath. There's different techniques. Then you become concentrated. Your mind is concentrated and you see, oh, there's a thought. Oh, look, that thought left. Thoughts arise, they pass away. Just like days, the sun rises, the sun passes. This is the cycle of the universe. Things come, things go. This is what your thoughts do. They come, they go. When you separate from that through controlling your breath, you realize that your life is kind of constructed by you, by other things, by society, you know. And if you're suffering within that construct, it's because you're either resisting part of your life or you're wishing that it was different. It's a craving for something other than what is right now, or it's an aversion to what is happening right now. A craving is a wishing into the future. An aversion is a looking back into the past, wishing it was something it's not. So right now is this magic point, and by practicing meditation, the mind separates and you can watch your mind, and then you realize I'm present right now. I'm watching right now. Oh, and there was another now. Oh, and look, there's another now. And you see that you're slightly different. There's a slight change over each of those moments. That develops over time. Concentration first, meditation next. And if you stay in that place, there's a joy, there's kind of a bliss, there's a reconnection to what we've just been talking about. Because it's real. It's you die if you don't have it. Like your body, you can still have a person that's dead. They're brain dead, but their body's alive. Like the spirit is the source of our being. And when you spend more time in that simple place, it's not about dogma or thinking or, rules, or it has an effect on you. It grows. It makes you more relaxed, more accepting of where we're at. That is something worth pursuing in whatever way. If you truly are seeking into yourself, there is a way. Breath is why we're alive. If we stop breathing, we die. So it's not just some random thing like making hand motions. If you control your breath, you control your relationship to dying. If you held your breath forever, you would die. So there's power in that control. That's a tool that we've been given in our physical bodies. When we do that, our nervous system responds. Our spine is built. It has all this energy flowing through it. And when you light up your spine, it changes the way your brain releases endorphins, the way it releases enzymes. And our whole body is part of this. It's all within us. So if there's one last thing I would say, you don't need to look outside of yourself. It's inside. So it means you're good. You got it.
Before I let you go, I want to try to clear something up for me here.
Yeah.
You're saying that when we're here, thoughts come and go, and that's something that's created by our brain, right?
Yeah. And in response to phenomena, yes.
But when you're on the other side, I'm assuming we're doing some kind of thinking over there. You saw the souls coming back and forth, and, what is the difference between that type of thinking and the thoughts that are here, if that makes sense?
Sure. You're not doing any thinking on the other side. Thinking is the province of the brain. The brain has synapses. They fire electrically. They respond to phenomena, and they create ideas, reactions. That's thinking. It's housed. It's part of this physical. Thinking is part of the brain. What's going on with when you're disembodied, when you're out of body, is your awareness. Awareness is spirit, soul, God, all those words. It's all of those words. But it's awareness. It's you're seeing this. It's not held in the brain. So when we're talking about my experiences on the other side, I'm telling you what I remember in quotes, but I'm actually not remembering them with my brain. I'm remembering them. It's like I remember it with my skin or my whole body. It's like my dreams remember it. It's something other than that. So you're not thinking on the other side. You are being. You're aware. It's maybe a hard concept to wrap your head around, but that's because we're physical. This is all a challenge.
Jeremy, thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
Right on, Jeff. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.